The Hard Knock Life. The Hard Knock Life. That saying. I think there's even a song, like, something like that. But even, that saying, like, it's a hard life, like, no matter what you're doing. It could be low budget. It could be, rough, at times, whatever. But love and the Hard Knock Life. Those two things that brought me on here, on the podcast. And so, to be able to take the time out to think about my education and everything I understand, it's like college is a want for sure, because we got to get by in this world, right? But education is also very important. Now, what we don't fairly get educated on, because it's like once seen or noticed, it just like runs and hides, right? The knowing of, I guess, behavioral issues. So, my whole life going to school, it's like when I was younger, I'm 39. When I was younger, they really didn't educate us in like ethics, right? And so being able to understand ethics and psychology and physics and all this stuff, it's like, oh wow, like able to understand, and I'm also able to like understand, like when I was in school, and it's like, okay, you're doing your subjects, and every subject's important. English for sure. You got your math that kind of like overworks you a little bit. Then you have science, and you have physical education that's like really important nowadays. Even able to acknowledge like kids' homework being physical education. It's like they educate them in ethics, and it's like, wow, that's a interesting incorporation, those two titles alone. But when it came to education, it's like you're going through a bunch of phases, you're getting picked on, you're going through this, you're trying to study your homework. There's, I think 7, 8 subjects in a day. And it helps a lot to know. But we are educated on a level, from what I've understood, of recognition of our time periods, right? And because we have to acknowledge something in our current, like in our presence, like in our now. And so whatever we are taught, we either think about or maybe discuss or whatever, and it's all going to be some type of recognition of what we know in the moment, And so with that being said, it's like we're educated on a certain level, and we go through life like using very minimal educational subjects other than math. And so for time being, it seems like math is just like very, very important when it comes to surviving in the world, because of money and all that stuff. So when going through that, like, it's very rare that we look back, right? And so it's like there's like a whole nother piece missing. It's interesting because when you start understanding different things in life, which isn't really understood on a educational level other than somebody maybe studying it in college or a doctorate's degree or whatever it may be like that. It comes to a moment of recognition with awareness and other meanings, because rare moments do happen, and understanding education and different levels, it was like, okay, I'm gonna need this, but I'm not gonna need all that, at a younger age. So you go through life and you live life, and it's like, okay, well, I used this is that, like, I used a little bit of this, and it's like basically being not educated. You go through high school, you get your diploma, and it's like, that's it. Like, you learn what you need to learn. You have a choice to go to college. I didn't go to college. Like, I've done little, stuff here and there, but like, for me, like, that was it. So everything else I've learned from like high school until now, it's been experience. Like, just to straight up tell you, experience. And the experience has led me to an understanding of what a scar really is. Like, what the true meaning of a scar is on your heart. Because there's so many analogies out there that, like, oh, I have a broken heart, or oh, my heart's damaged, or oh, my heart's this and that. But it's really not that. It's really not that it's really not that your heart hurts, and it may, then you need to, seek medical attention or whatever. But 39, and I've learned what life is about. And education is a very, very important one, because it led me back to education as well. Yeah, and so when it led me back to education, it's like, dang, like, you're dual educating. And so it's like you're already educated one way, but then it's almost like you get to understand it more through a certain way of thinking, I guess. And it's very interesting. I'm not sure how many people are aware of this or has gone through a similar situation, but there's moments in life where you're trying to communicate, but you can't communicate, and there's, of course, always reasons for that. And you go through all levels of trying, and eventually you reach those awareness points of like, like, basically you tried everything to where you can rule out everything. And ruling out everything, it's like, oh wow, okay. So you can find truth when you rule out everything, and you're able to be humble and understanding about certain ways of understanding. And so being able to live, through 20 years in a relationship, it's like I can have a good and bad thing to say about it, but I choose to share my experience, of what it's educated me and led me to, which is the most rarest education you can get in the world, because it really doesn't exist. It's more ethical if it is to be put on a subject, but it still doesn't cover much of what is understood. But two relationships, two marriages, understanding cause and effects, the law of attraction. It's like I really have came to the realization that majority of society's money and circulation has gone through the system of medication, funding of medication, criminal justice, of most of our behavioral medications that are offered out there in society, and all this stuff like TV shows, relationship, most sells families, right? Vacationing, anything family. It's like you put this on the number one chart because any family is going to be going through it, right? And then if your family's going through a little rough times and stuff, it's like, well, then you have your doctors, psychiatrists, relationship experts and stuff like this. And so if it's not that, then people in society are basically spending their money to please each other and, give each other the life they deserve and stuff like that. If that's what they want or choose, right? And so a lot of people try to make this happen, and sometimes it's rough, or sometimes it's a rough start to make happen, because people don't know the behavioral effects and stuff. It just depends what path you're on and what path is led your way, right? And who's leading your path? Like, who's leading your way down the path? Like, is it you? Is it money? Is it the material status? Like, you gotta think about all those things. Like, it's very intriguing to understand all this. But anyways, some people in life don't really know how to explain the heart on your sleeve, the scars on your heart, right? And those are those things, like, you put yourself through. Like those moments that are those moments that everybody wants you to forget about. Being stood up or led on, right? And you don't have what you want, like you're led on. And so being led on and strung along and picked and poked at and this and that. Like, a person goes through those moments, through those sad and lonely moments and stuff like that. And those little things of knowing that you're just one big cover up. Those moments where you argue, you fuss, you aren't supposed to really remember them all, right? Because you didn't really care about them. Like you didn't care anyways, right? That's what a typical person would say. Like, if you have to cover something up, it's like, well, you really didn't care anyways. If you didn't want it to exist, like, well, it doesn't exist now. But then come back in the picture and it's like, oh wow, it exists in a different way. It's like, who's selling your ship, right? Anyways, regardless of the fact, is those scars on your heart, that's your mind. That's your mind that gets scarred. That's your, in a thinking type of way. Like, however it is. All those awkward sayings of stuff, like your heart on your sleeve. Look at your tattoos because they tell a story. Why? Because those are your feelings on your sleeves, on your arms, on your tattoos, wherever they are. Even in clothing. Put your heart on your sleeve. Yep. Put your heart in your clothing, your fashion, same thing, right? That's our feelings, our mind, our ability to think, our ability to have creativity in the things that we want in life and what we do with each other. Everything we do. Eventually, there's realizations in the process of going through these ups and downs and sporadic moments and stuff like that. It's where we all have our realizations, right? And that's that rock bottom. However you look at it, you gotta at least hit that rock bottom a couple times for realization. One mentally and the other one physically in the material world. Those two things, they just keep on cycling and cycling until someone understands the proper understanding of what life is, right? Because life ain't always about materials and stuff like that. But in the end, as you get older, it's like, oh, well, there's another scar to the heart. Like, whoa, there's another scar. Oops. Scarred heart, there you go. But it's in the thinking, it's a behavior. It's either a behavior or something that has happened. Like, either or which way you look at it, it's one or the other, right? And so they don't teach us this stuff. Education, right? It's like, it's the real deal. Like, it sounds awkward, but no, it is. Like, it's like, oh, cool. Like, a little, oh, Cupid put a heart, arrow through a heart. No, we'd be dead. Like, like our heart, like our feelings. Identifying our feelings, right? That's how we identify what we like and dislike, basically. Never put a label to your identifying or your identification, because you don't want to label your likes and dislikes, because then those are going to come with people, right? Right? So you don't want to label your likes and dislikes, because then you're going to lead yourself. Because when you like something, you're going to think of it, and you're like, you don't want to do that shit, because then you're going to, like, literally, psychically, like, whoop, boom, think of that other person. You don't want to do that. You don't want your neurons to do that, okay? So, never label, ever, never label your likes and dislikes, okay? Because these things will they'll scar your heart. They'll mislead you into a whole nother direction to where you'll forget. Maybe remember or forget or whatever it is. But you'll just keep on going. You'll be somewhere else in your mind with other people, with your likes and dislikes. And then you'll be trying to have a life or a relationship with someone else in real life, and then it's like, damn, you have this facade of a label, and then eventually you try to look for somebody like your facade, your label, and you get into a 3-party situation. It's like, oh damn, what now? So, never label your likes and dislikes, because then you'll get in that situation. You'll know what you like and don't like. Scars on our skin, they'll still kind of be there. We'll remember them through this and that. We'll forget them through this and that. We'll understand them. But the scars on our skin, sometimes they don't go away, They do make treatment for that and all that stuff like that. But our scars to our heart, they can properly be healed. They sure can. A lot of understandings, acknowledgments. There's always some type of thinking out there for somebody. These are the things that you don't learn in school. You learn with an experience. the most difficult part is being able to conquer the not being jealous, being able to let go, being able to understand, not being upset, being kind, the proper, kindness with, your heart. To me, that's like understanding, being sympathetic. When you're sympathetic and understanding, and, like things like that, being kind. Then it's like you're slowly healing, or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it all different kind of things. But you can heal the scars on your heart, it's possible. And it is a process. But not too many people understand this properly. And some people would call this like stupid and all that. But being able to educate yourself with experience, it is a difficult lesson. And it takes a lot of discipline. But it is understandable. And eventually, everybody ends up learning, their own type of way or whatever. But it's almost like we can only kick back and just watch for a little bit, or observe and see how things go. And that could be with or without your spouse, no matter how you understand it. But you can't be upset. No reason to. Life is full of choices. And there's lots of people in life. And everybody has a choice. And we all end up choosing. There comes a time when you need to understand what's sly in your life and what's not. What tries to slither through, what doesn't. Eventually nothing can slither through if you're not doing anything wrong, So, other than that, you can just chill and kick back. But internal scars can't be healed. I didn't even realize they were scars until I was listening to a song. I think it was Scarred Heart or something like that. I saw the cover on YouTube, and I was like, dang, totally understand that. Scarred heart. And it's interesting to have the picture with like a heart being clawed and all that. But if you understand it in a lovely way, it's actually the emotions, scarred feelings. And they can be overcome. Most definitely. I don't recommend any of those crystals or whatever. You know, they're pretty cool, but I don't know. But it's like, whoa. But crystals really don't have feelings, do they? Yeah. But if you use them, they make you feel better, whatever. That's your prerogative. The scarred heart. It's interesting. It's like, where'd my mind go? I'm losing it. Right? No, I'm not. I'm just understanding. And when you understand more, it's like, oh wow, like okay, I get that, you know, emotions can have scars and all that through a thinking process and so forth. But when you really start understanding life and science, it's like, wow, my scars were your scars, but in a different way. It's just like never ending. Eventually it does, because you're able to just kind of calm yourself, understand what everything is about, clear your mind and all that. We can all sell our own ship. It's just, you know, I don't know. Scarred heart. Who knows? I couldn't express. You could. But it made me happy. I would vaguely smile that you did, but it made me happy. I wasn't too romantic, but you were, and it made me happy. There were times where I didn't know. And you wouldn't have known, because I didn't know. But when I understand, know. And when I know, you can't deal with it but any other way other than just let it go. No worries. Just kindness. Relationships are amazing. Those things that make a person smile. Even when the smile isn't seen. It makes a person happy. The little things that aren't recognized. And then you go through the moments of awareness. And all that is gone. And it's like nobody understood it, but yourself, but myself, basically. It's like, just an individual person understood it themselves. And it's like, okay. And then you move on, right? And then it's like, oh wow, what do you know? Here we go, scarred heart. Here we go, another scarred heart, different way. It's like, I just realized my feelings. My feelings at the moment. I felt like something maybe had triggered me, and it's like, okay, I'm going through something emotional, and okay. Oh, it triggered. My heart was scarred on it, right? No. Those are happy moments, right? No, that's right. It gave me scars. Well, then it's like, well, what gave you? If you had to think about that, then, and that gave you scars because you didn't have it, well, what, if not having those moments in your life, or those people in your life, or family, or whatever it is, wife, or whatever, having them in your life, didn't give you those scars. It's like, how'd you get the scars in the first place? Like, nobody would believe that it was from not believing what was just said earlier about the smile. And it's like, wow. If you only knew what a smile meant. If you only knew what a smile meant. But maybe it wasn't your husband's smile. Maybe it was the husband looking at the most beautiful smile in the world. but she just didn't believe it. And that's probably where the other set of a scarred heart is. So yeah, it's like I look at that, or I'm able to look at that and understand it. It's like, whoa, amazing, right? And so it's like, damn, it's kind of like, that saying, like, you're kind of, I don't know, can't live with her, can't live without her. Those two different moments. It's like, okay, like I can live with her, but how do I explain how I feel? If just knowing that you're happy, smiling, or those good moments, just knowing that you were happy. And I'm pretty sure that's what made me happy. Very sure. And there was just a really pretty smile to observe while understanding life in those moments, right? And it's like, okay. Gotta move on from there, let go, blah, blah, blah. So you let go. And it's like back to what I just said. It's like, okay, yeah, those moments. It's like, oh, there you go. What made you happy? Let's do something that makes you happy. Well, I can go jogging, distract myself, gym, bookstore, whatever. It's perfect, right? And then it's like a psychiatrist or somebody would be like, well, what makes you happy? It's like, nobody believed me anyway. I guess because I wasn't able to jump up and down or whatever, or sing a song about it or whatever it was. But people can express their happiness in different ways. But happiness is everywhere. Right? Hopefully it's not a scarred heart. Try not to label. There's no reason for label.